Hello, welcome back to another episode of More Than Friends. My name is Tashi, and today we're doing it a little bit different. I'm actually getting two of my girlfriends here on the bed with me, and we're going to discuss all range of topics. Attachment styles, how you are in a relationship. We're going to talk about societal pressures and a lot of juicy inside information into our lives as well. So I hope you enjoy it. I am bringing on Abby Rayo and Tara Electra, so stay tuned.
I have so much tea to tell you about Tara.
She like
Cut the cameras.
dude, I'm excited. Okay. I'm trying to be like, okay, we're just gonna talk how we normally do because we're always talking.
So we're always talking, which is nice. We always have conversations, and we decided to bring it with a mic. And there's so many cool things that we all like go through and chat about, and we're like, wow, we really need to record this. So here we go.
Yeah, if our conversations just on a daily basis were recorded,
Done.
The fact that we all really haven't even drank together that much is because we actually enjoy talking to each other so
People
much.
don't realize we're literally sober most of the time.
Because we're
Sitting
so
on the
into
couch, getting in deep.
the nature of our existence to like every possible topic you could possibly think of, we have covered. Us three.
And that's why we have such a hard time dating guys that can't go deep. I'm like, if a guy can't have like deeper conversations and connect with me on a deeper level, I'm just like,
What are we talking about?
why
bro?
are we talking about? Why are we here? What happens when you die?
Yeah, like what are your plans? Like, do you how many lives do you think you've lived?
These are things we need to know.
I need to know. What are the traumas you've worked through?
Exactly. And then there's some guys that will just, like, you could say certain like really deep things, and like anyone else that like gets it will go with you there. And then there's times I've dated guys where they're like, okay, yeah, and I'm like, ew, you're not gonna go with me there, right? And they won't go deep with you. It just kills me.
Or they just like, they're like agreeing with you, but they don't actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Or you could tell they think you're a little nuts.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
okay.
They're like, oh, and you're like, okay, shift. Let me shift this.
Let me shift to something very
Normal.
basic.
Yeah.
Like very surface level conversation. So
I can't have surface
beautiful day today.
And we both, none of us three, I said both.
Yeah.
What's the 3 word for both? Us. We.
Menage
Am
a trois.
I okay?
Menage a trois of us.
None of us can do that.
Right? I know, it's funny.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we have so much to cover. I think we can first kind of go into obviously dating, which we're kind of already highlighting, but what we figured out really quickly is that we all have attachment styles, and we've been helping each other grow with our attachment styles, and we learn a lot from each other because of each other's attachment styles. And so, Natasha, please start first. What is your attachment style?
Well, with deep research, I found out I have anxious avoidant. I'm mostly avoidant, where it's like harder for me. Like I attract a lot of clingy people, and it's because I'm like more avoidant. So the people that come into my life usually are the ones that they'll always hit me up. They're always like wanting to hang out all the time because I'm someone with an avoidant. You usually don't make plans. You usually are like, what am I trying to say?
What are you trying to say?
I don't know. What is it? Like, how do I explain an avoidant without it being
Yeah, like you it's like the moment you can tell things are going to get serious, you pull away. That's what an avoidant
That's
is.
pretty much
Yeah.
it. Or you just question. I feel like you question everything. Anytime you like someone, you're like, okay, what's everything wrong about them? I don't like them that much because of this, and this. And,
yeah.
oh, it probably won't work out because of this. So let me just put that in a
That's an
shelf in
avoidant.
my in a box in my head to where it's kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
And then that protects me. you
Yeah,
know?
it keeps me safe.
That is exactly it.
Yeah.
You crazy shit.
I know.
She's lost
She's
it.
getting better though. No, you're
I've
getting
gotten
better.
better. I mean, I can see myself even getting a little bit more like opening up a little bit more because it's definitely like I won't allow myself to like fully love someone because I'm scared I'll get hurt. So I have to see all their red flags right away. So I'm like, But I could tell now I'm getting more vulnerable. I can
You
see
are.
with people. I'm like, oh, I actually think about like if they don't text me and stuff. I'm like, that's
Like,
new.
I actually kind of care.
I kind of care.
This is new.
Okay, Abby, hit us with it. What are you?
Okay, so I feel like for most of my life, I've definitely been anxious attached, for sure. But I think it's getting better because of just the self-love that as you get older, I feel like you grow more into yourself and you fall in love with yourself more, or at least you should. And so I feel like that's helped me. But in a lot of relationships, yeah, I think I probably from childhood of just not feeling like, at times accepted or like loved or whatever it is. It was like anytime I felt that love, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this person. Like, I don't ever want to let them go. This is it. I'm going to marry them. Like, I don't even know.
I've heard those phone calls.
Yeah, like crazy. But then, especially high school me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then it got better as I got older. But now I feel like I kind of it's almost like I'm working on like the secure attached because I want to be secure attached. But I think now I'm leaning out of anxious into almost slightly avoidant in certain circumstances. Like
Yeah.
I feel like now I've learned so much about what I don't want that like I'll like someone, but I'm trying to keep those boundaries,
Yeah.
And so I know, okay, Abby, you have so much love to give. You're so loving. Don't just give that away so easily. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I've learned that over time. So now I can kind of keep that boundary and just be like, we'll see if
Yeah.
this person is even like,
Yeah. Deserving.
calm
of that.
down. You know what I mean? But I feel like also if somebody does something I really don't like, or they show me a side now of like red flags in relationships that I've had in the past, I just will be like, nah. And I'll just kind of take them out of my mind and just be like, yeah, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I like stop caring.
Yeah.
But it also depends on each situation
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be like, I don't know why this person makes me crazy. But then like, it'll
How
be
you
like,
know it's a childhood wound.
yeah, it's like, ooh. But then it's like another person, I don't know. I'll just, even though they might be textbook, like attractive or like, who knows, someone that I'm very attracted to, something with the person. I don't know. It's just so weird.
That's
I
what's
don't even
hard
know
with
what
like
the hell I am.
anxious
But I'm like,
attachment. You have to get comfortable with like knowing that like if you're not having that crazy obsession, because that is like a thrill too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels good when you're like, oh my God, I must like them so much because it feels so good. I'm very into them. I care about what they're doing all day and like things like that. But then also getting comfortable being attracted to guys that are more, it sounds like boring to an anxious attachment because they're just stable. They text you when they say they're going to. They make plans when they say they would. Like they're a man of their word and
Right.
like they don't have the games, and it's almost like weird when you're around those people because you're like, I'm not getting that high that I get usually when
me and Natasha were just talking about this the other day, how it's so, at least for me, it's weird. Like how do I say this? Like a guy where it's so nice to not have to wonder what they're thinking. Like you don't have to question anything. They like me. I like them. It's chill, bro. Like, I'm
it
not
should be
worried
easy.
about like, they're not like having this whole like, oh yeah, okay, wait, I don't want her to think that she's better than me. So I'm not going to tell her she's pretty a lot. And I'm not going to, I'm going to play it cool. I'm going to take about
10 hours
2
to
hours and 10 minutes to text back. And then next time it's going to be 2 hours and 15 because she cannot get one over on me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, dude, I can't.
Yeah.
It's so, maybe like the high school will be like, oh my God, what's he doing? But like now it's just like,
yeah.
see ya.
Thank God
You're
it's
annoying.
off-putting
Something's wrong
now.
with you. I don't know what you're up to.
Yeah,
but,
we've
I'm
realized
out.
that like a guy that actually doesn't care to like text you or show their interest and court you, like actually has way more confidence than the guy that's overthinking and trying to be cool. Then you're like, oh, something's off
There's
here.
like an insecurity.
Yeah, so I think that's what we've learned as we've gotten older. It's like you're confident if you're confident to court a girl.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a boundary. You don't want to look desperate or
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
like that. But like my best relationship was when a guy courted me the right way. It was like, would you like to go to dinner? Go to the dinner. The next day, had a great time with you at dinner last night. Let me know what your plans are this weekend. Like normal, not like I would like to see you tomorrow. Like
Yeah,
you
not
know,
like anxious
a
attachment,
normal,
Yeah, or just
healthy
like
pace.
whatever the vibe is. It's like if you're vibing, you're vibing with me, I'm vibing with you, not being like just flow with it. It's like if you like someone, talk to them, or just be like, hey, like I had such an awesome time with you, not being afraid to be vulnerable and saying like,
say that,
or in the moment being like, you're like so beautiful, or like, I love hanging, like anything. Like it's just like, that's so awesome, versus the guy that's just like playing it cool.
Yeah.
It's just like,
what's funny though, right when you were saying that, I was like, right? And then I'm thinking like, well, I would never do that, because like I'm so afraid to be hurt.
Well,
so like,
I think you guys are talking about like boundaries a lot, where it's like you want another guy to be vulnerable first, to tell him like, hey, I had a great time on that first date. I do like you. I want to go out on another date again. Would you like to go? Rather than being so clinical and being like, that was nice. Should we schedule another date? Like, be vulnerable. Tell me you like me before I'm like wasting my time with you, and then I'll like pursue you further.
Because what I was realizing right now is I'm like, I expect that from the other guy, but then I'm also too scared to be that way. Like, because I'm like, I'm gonna match your energy always. Like, if you're not saying it, then I'm not fucking saying it.
If you're not being vulnerable,
but that's also because the guy,
they're supposed to lead
the energy. You know,
that's true.
So it's kind of like, as a woman, we're not gonna, if you're giving me an energy that's unsure, then I'm gonna be like, okay, well,
I'm unsure.
I'm unsure. I don't know.
What attachment style do you guys think I am? I'm like, I don't really know.
I think you have anxious.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
But then part of me feels more recently that I'm a little bit of an avoidant.
But that's out of like, you're just getting comfortable even dating again, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's an avoidance of like, I'm not used to anything out of your comfort zone again. It's going to feel like, that's a lot of fucking work.
Yeah, because I feel like you are kind of like me in relationships, in the sense of like, we like really lock in to that person and just see the
You guys
best in
see all
them,
the
and
great
like
things.
don't like anything that goes on. We're just like, it's fine. They're just
They have
having
this thing that I'm going to help them with.
it's gonna get better, and they're just, which it's like, I feel like we're
it's
growing
like once I
through
love
that.
you, I love you to the death of me.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Because you're still friends with all your exes, too.
Yeah.
So loyal. I wish I could be, but with
know,
some.
thank God.
I mean, with one really, but yeah, not some. But that is the hardest thing, though, is like when you love someone so much and you just know that you're not supposed to be with them, or it's not the time, or it's like, that is like the worst thing, especially because we're so loyal and we're so loving, that to just end that is like pure hell.
I know.
But it's also so necessary for not only them and us, But that's such a hard thing. Ugh.
Yeah, and what we
That's
realized,
what avoidants are good at doing.
I was gonna say an anxious person is usually the one that like falls
Holds
in
on.
love and holds on to the relationship even beyond the time you should. And the avoidant a lot of times doesn't
cut
even
'em out
allow
too
themselves
soon.
to fall in love at that level, right?
I
So
cut
it's
them out
like-
too soon. Like, it's more like I had a problem where it was like, it got to the point of where even after a first date, I was like, I couldn't even go on a second date. I was cutting them out that quick.
Even if you liked them?
No, I would just find the red flags so quickly. So there was never even a second date there. So like that was like, but usually in relationships, I can always see, okay, this person has this, and I know I should get rid of them because of like, we're not growing together. So I'm very good at breaking up, but I almost get mad at myself sometimes because I'm like, maybe I should have tried a little bit harder instead of just being like, oh, protecting myself. You may hurt me. I need to get rid of you.
I feel like the perfect medium is like in between,
In between,
how we are, like realizing realizing those flags, but but I mean, I guess if there's like real serious red flags, you might as well just ditch it at the beginning,
Yeah.
pretty much.
When you know the big ones.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because I feel like some,
they're
people can grow.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
I think some, it depends on what you can deal with.
What's like your guys' like for sure core things that you need? Because I feel like if you know your core few things that you need, then all the other stuff is just ego based or like not as important. They're changeable, or you can live with that. But do you guys have like core things that you know? you need, because that helps you choose a better partner.
I think.
Mine for sure, my one would be open-minded.
Oh,
That
yeah.
one's a huge
Oh,
one.
Definitely.
dude,
We all have
that's
that.
up there. That it
Huge.
has to be open-minded.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
I'm like,
bad
we don't need to
quality.
agree on everything, but I need to know that like we can understand where each other are coming from and understand other ways of thinking. Like you don't have to like say, yes, I'm going to do that now, but at least like be open to like what I'm talking
Yes.
about.
Yeah, and the way we look at life. I think that like that's also what she means by that, is that the way that all of us look at life is very zoomed out versus, you know, people come from different backgrounds, you know, a small town or, you know, a family that is a certain way, and they can't look at life like in a bigger sense. So, you know, whether it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's like spiritually or just like opinions on things, just able to just look at another opinion besides something that they if they
I
can't
only know this way.
like
This
is
is
the only
what I
way
was
know.
taught my whole life.
That's all I know. I don't know anything else, and I'm not willing to think about it. Like I can't.
Yeah, you can see some people like they're almost like glitching when you're telling them.
Yeah, they're
something.
like, I can't face the unknown. Like they're like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Can't
no.
talk about it.
That's a huge
one.
I was thinking that's the root to every single thing I want, because my next one is like abundance, but it's like abundance in like the way you look at the world. Like I can live my dreams and I can have this life and I can. It's like an abundant thinker, but that's just the root is being open-minded.
Yeah. I think a massive one for me that I've realized is just how would I describe it? Like, I guess just an overall positive person. You're either a person that looks at life glass half full or glass half empty.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I've really worked, and maybe I've always been this way, I don't know, but I've really worked on, you know, being positive. Like little things happen. You might have a day where like something falls over, you do this, or something happens. I just am very like, gonna let that go. That's not gonna
affect my whole
life's
day.
awesome. I'm going to just keep trucking, you know? And I really like to, it doesn't mean you don't have sad moments. It doesn't mean you don't have a bad day or whatever, but overall a happy person, someone that's not just super like stressed or anxious or
Because
like,
some people
you know,
could be like attracted to the drama in a weird way. Like they like complaining about their life all the time.
yeah, complaining makes me so
sad.
upset.
I'm like,
My goodness.
that one's the worst. That one's
It gets
hard
me
for
so I think that goes hand in hand with that, but I just realized that's what it is. Like someone who's just happy about life and like
good
positive and an
outlook.
uplifting person.
Yeah.
What I was just thinking too, so that people that are listening can understand, go into like the bullet points of what an avoidant looks like, and then what an anxious person looks like in a relationship.
Okay.
Like some things that you've realized with yourself that you want to work on, so that way people are like, oh, I have that, or I don't have that, or that one's me, you know?
You do avoidant, obviously.
If you can think of one
Well,
first,
yours
you
for
can go.
yours, one of the first ones would be like, you're constantly looking for the red flag.
So
right away.
like for me right away, when I go on dates, if you can have a similarity on this, I usually am asking them questions. I'm like a professional dater at this point. I made it my whole life because I have this avoidant attachment style. I know every question to figure out like deep, like I want to like figure out where their weaknesses are almost. Like I'm like, okay, where could you hurt me? So the questions I ask are like, what happened in your past relationship? Like, what did you do wrong in your past relationship? Why didn't it work out from like your point of view? Or what did your exes complain about most about you? Like, cause I want to know like, what am I getting into? So it's like, yes, you should ask those things, but I'm doing it in a way where I'm just trying to figure out like how you can hurt me so I can quickly get rid of you, instead of being like, obviously no one's perfect. And like you can find out those things and then be like, okay, is this something that they can work on? Like, is this possible to fix? Or is it just something like, okay, like that's way too toxic and of course you shouldn't talk to them. But yeah, I think finding that balance of like, I just figure out what the red flags are and quickly be like, okay, like I should probably get rid of you.
Yeah, it's like someone that's constantly making excuses for why maybe someone shouldn't work out for them. Or another way of knowing that you could be an avoidant is constantly talking yourself out of being in a relationship with anyone. Like, but it's going to take away my freedom, or like, but I'm going to, it's like you're just trying to protect yourself constantly.
If you notice yourself coming home from dates and the person you talk to most, which is like my mom and my sister and Abby, if you like complain about your date. Like, I'm like, they're like, oh my God, what was he like? And they're like I'm like, they want to get all the nice stuff out of it. And I'm telling them like all their flaws. I'm like, that's how you know you're an avoidant.
Yeah, that's true.
I literally am like,
so
why can't
true.
I leave a date without going like, oh, I like saying the amazing qualities. I was like, I get so jealous of you guys because I'm like, you guys see all the good in people. Sometimes I'm like, why do I always have to see like the like red flags?
Yeah, I'm like
it's
the
annoying.
opposite. That's so funny. I'll be like, oh my gosh, they floated in on a cloud. I'm just kidding. I've gotten better for sure.
Okay, yeah, so say what yours are that you've noticed you're in attachment because of things that you've went through.
Yeah, I feel like thank God. Honestly, it's crazy. All of us just talking and working through so many things. You've helped me so much just with I don't know, just because we're all in kind of the same path in life and we have so many similarities in the way that we view life and look at life and what we want out of life. It's helped me grow so much and dive in more to my self-love. So I feel like that's really helped. But I feel like definitely something that if you're an anxious attached, it's like you ignore the red flags. And I think it's also comes from, you know, whether you have childhood trauma or you had kind of an unhealthy childhood or anything, you know, chaotic that was happening. You see a guy, you like them, you see something chaotic and you're like, oh, that's fine. That's normal. It feels normal.
Yeah.
I'll just, you know, look past that. And I think that's something that I've really had to work on. And that really goes hand in hand with self-love. Because when you love yourself more, you then see those things and you're like, ew. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Oh, poor baby.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's definitely an anxious attached sign. And then I think another thing is like you put someone on a pedestal so quickly. Like you immediately are just like, oh no, they're the greatest thing in the world. The opposite of, you know.
That's how Tara is
How you
too.
are,
And now
yes.
I'm thinking, I'm like, Tara does that. She'll like
Yeah.
talk about someone so great. And I'm like, damn, this person must be amazing.
I
And then
know,
I
it's
meet
not
them and I'm
good.
like, they're not that amazing.
We talked about this actually before. It's so much positive projection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're putting all of our, like, what we want to feel inside and putting that on them.
Yeah, like so the opposite kind of is like when someone's being toxic to you and they're like projecting what they're doing to you, they'll start making you feel crazy and they'll like gaslight you and make you feel like and they're like, wait a second, you're doing that to me. What is this a joke? Am I unpunked? So it's the opposite. It's when you're like a positive, loving person and then you want to believe that other people are thinking how you're thinking.
Yeah,
But
that's so
maybe they're
true.
not.
Yeah.
They might not think like you. They might not be like you and
Yeah.
think the best of people and want the best and have the best intentions. But that's something that we definitely struggle with. Is
Yes.
We always think people have the best intentions.
Exactly.
And I feel like I'm getting better at that. You still need a little time. Little time, buddy. But you're getting there. Tara,
Tara
literally-
learned it a lot in business. I think it's more in relationships now. Because I feel like in
Yeah.
business you had to like
I
figure
had
that
to
out.
get fucked over by a lot of people to learn, not to look for the best right away.
Yeah.
I still have it,
But it's,
so
that's
I think
a
that's
part
what
of what's special about you, though.
Yeah.
I feel like, and we've talked about that. I feel
Yeah.
like there's boundaries that you can learn, and I don't want either of us to ever change how we are and the heart we have. You know,
Exactly.
because that takes courage to kind of like.
Because it's a superpower if you think
Yeah.
about how, like, you guys only see the best and then I can see the warnings. Like, I was like, we help each other out in a weird way because I'm like, if I meet their person, I could tell them what we need to work on. And
Yeah.
then you can show me, like, how great someone actually is and, like, how
Yeah.
they could. So I was like, it is a superpower. I think it's like, I wonder if, like, the secure attachment is just, like, having a good balance of both then.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've helped me so much with that. It's when I start, and I think that's what's helped myself in turn go more towards secure is because I have that kind of internal voice in my head of like, Abby, let's look at this from you're doing that thing.
Yeah.
Chill. Like, come back down to earth, buddy.
Yeah.
Life's not a fairy tale. Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like you've helped me so much
Yeah.
with that to where it's taught me how
Yeah.
to do it myself.
And a good thing that I do with like anxious attachment is like I always tell people, pretend like you're giving advice to a best friend in the same situation that you're in and what would you tell them to do. I feel like taking yourself out of the situation helps too. So if you want to try that.
Yeah, like that's something you've said to me before.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
like,
like, with-
Abby,
with your
what
daughter."
would you tell your daughter to do? And I was
That's
like,
so good.
yeah, I know the answer. Yeah.
That's good.
I know.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Someone you love and care about, because you are like we're acting out our little childhood traumas. It is our little child self that's like attracting to that. So it is.
Now
cool.
I have such a weird like style with, I don't even know what I am, but I know we were talking about it. I'm trying to get used to dating again, or even being open to it. But right now I feel like I have like such a wall up of even like opening myself up. So there's like a little bit of an avoidant there for sure. But then I know, but my hard thing is that when I actually do find someone that I'm like, oh wow, they have the things that I'm looking for, then I'm like, think that they're too good. I'm like, I put you on way too much of a
Yeah,
pedestal.
it's like
I'm
you're
like,
both
get
in a way.
down off this
because
pedestal.
you're still a normal human. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's so
Jesus.
true.
Yeah, more recently I've been that way.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Butterflies are fun. You should
Yeah.
always have butterflies about the person you're supposed to be with, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should feel so just overwhelming and just like
Yeah.
encompassing your whole being. You know what I mean? I
know,
don't think
but that is a
that's
nice
healthy.
feeling.
It is such a nice
But it's
feeling, and we all want that. But it's like there's a reason we felt that when we were a teenager, because we were stupid.
That's so true. That's so true.
That's like you want to feel the feeling you felt when you were a teenager, but do you want to be a teenager again? No. We were dumb.
We were so.
Like, no offense to any teenagers, I'm obviously joking, but you're an infant to adulthood, basically.
So
yeah,
much more
you
life
haven't learned
experience.
yet. Like
you're
what
you're
is-
like a little baby
yeah, I've
adult.
never
You don't know.
free-falled the way that I did with my first love. I'm like, there was no heartbreak ever before, so I just
I will
free
love
fall
you fully.
into the situation and was the most heartbroken I've ever been.
Yeah. And obviously, teenagers, I don't mean you're dumb, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Your maturity level and your experiences, whether everybody has a different life path, different things they've been through as a child, so there's things we have to work through. And I feel like you're just learning how to cope or how to set your own boundaries, whether you're an extreme avoidant, whether you're an extreme attached, or you might be a secure, you might have just learned everything
Lucky.
you needed to learn and you're just
When have you ever met a secure? I don't know if I've ever came across someone dating that.
Well, the
I've met
problem
a- I've
is
met
you
a
only
secure.
you attract what you are.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's true.
I always attract anxious guys. Like that is-
that's a good point to go over.
Oh,
You
they are
attract-
so like yeah.
You attract the opposite.
The
'cause
opposite.
you
So
said
like
you
a
attract-
lot of avoidance attract anxious people, and a lot of anxious attract avoidance. We like go together. So we're very into each other because. So like if we were dating, I'm bringing up her childhood traumas because I'm being avoidant and like not around as much or not as texty or not giving you what you need, the love that you need. So then you're going to be more attracted to me because it's more normalized to you. It's like what you went through in your childhood. And then mine's the reverse. So like I'm like someone's being too clingy and too there all the time. So it's more just like
You like to have power over them? You sick
no.
fuck.
I'm like
How
trying to
dare
think of
you.
what it is. I almost it's like I think there must be something wrong with them. Like why do they like me so much? Like what's wrong with them? So I'm already trying to see like if you like me so much, I'm not perfect. Why do you like me so much right away? There must be something wrong with you. So then I push away even more. So that's why we like cling to each other.
Because we're both bringing each other's like core
Weaknesses to
weakness
light.
up. That's wild.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I feel like I've kind of dated all types.
Yeah.
And the relationships were different. But I mean.
Well, it depends on
all
what you got
deep.
out of though.
Yeah,
so like you
but
could
learn
get out
so
of a
much.
relationship that was so toxically like clingy, then you start dating someone that's different because it's like sometimes you're just really trying not to date that. Like cuz you're like, "Oh, we were too codependent." So then you could be attracted
Yeah.
to something slightly different, but I think it's like cuz even don't you notice the ones that you went to that were clingy, it was more safe. So you were just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I dated them out of safety."
I like a little bit of, but I feel like the secureness is like, okay, if I like you, I like you. This is going to naturally progress. So it's going to, clingy, it shouldn't be, because I don't mean that in like, that doesn't have to be like a negative term. I feel like
Yeah.
when you're in love with someone, you want to be around them.
There's
That's
a healthy clinging, but,
yeah,
like,
that's a
moving
natural,
in right away.
Right, like super quick, super
Yeah.
instant, like I'm
Yeah.
literally moving in with you.
Yeah.
That's definitely not
'Cause you don't even know them
always-
yet. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta, and I've done that. Yeah. Wouldn't recommend. Would not recommend. But I'm not talking about talking about Royce. I just want to say that. I love Royce. So that's not who I'm talking about. That's someone that I dated. But Yeah.
I was gonna say.
No, I
was
didn't
gonna say
want. I
his
didn't
name,
want
and I was
if
gonna-
him. I didn't want if him or his friends seeing that would say, "Oh, she's talking about you." Absolutely not. Royce is an absolute doll.
I was gonna
angel.
say he seems like I was thinking when, but I know you're gonna mention his name. I was thinking for him, he seems pretty secure. Attachment style.
I feel like he's a really secure person. Loving parents. I mean, that's probably why his parents are like so loving and yeah, I don't know. He was just great. Really.
Yeah.
Like just a great person.
Yeah, it was
So
interesting.
it's like
yeah, so you have dated different types.
yeah, he really the relationship with him taught me so much about like qualities that I have to have in a person because he was so great.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
always
mean?
feel like people like that when you have that, when you get a really big shift like that kind of turns you onto a path of what you want next in a relationship. I feel like those people are like some kind of soulmate because they say you have multiple and you don't have to end up with one.
Right.
You know, there's multiple. But there's this one guy I dated when I was around like 21 and they turned I was going this path and then when I dated him, my path turned this way and now I like can't date anyone that doesn't have these
That's
qualities.
so true.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would say that was definitely for sure because I think before him, I just had so much like I don't know. I definitely went towards the more toxic side, but I knew that I didn't want that, you
Yeah.
know. And then it's kind of like my relationship with him, he just such a loving, patient, like person who never gets mad.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
so
He's
many
in control of his emotions.
so many
Yeah.
parts of that like healed so much of me and
He was
you
a
know
pivotal point,
yeah
for
like even
sure.
the person that like since then I've healed so much because that relationship made me realize so much more in me that I needed to heal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, and that's how I also realized that I have to be with someone that's so positive and so just happy to be alive. Like
It's
he
such a
is.
good quality.
I know.
Such a good quality.
I know. He's just so awesome. I really hope he's doing well.
Yeah.
I really do.
That's cute.
He seems really happy, so I'm very happy for him.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you guys think you attract a similar person often?
That was a good one I wanted to go into. Yes. I
'Cause
know that you've noticed it.
So like there is a thing too. Like if you keep attracting a type of person, maybe you think that like you just notice like, okay, there's a lot of similarities in a lot of the guys that I end up dating. And not necessarily good ones. Sometimes you're like, okay, like because even for me, I attract a lot of the same type of guy. And I'm trying to figure out, like, usually if you're attracting that person, it means there's something in you that you need to heal. So then you won't keep attracting that same relationship. Because some people, they keep living the same life over and over again, but with different people, but it's the same situation. And if you don't learn the lesson, you just keep on attracting that same human again.
Right.
So I'm just curious if you guys have dated people that you feel like had similar qualities.
Well, we kind of talked about this morning.
Yeah.
I have not, thankfully. And we've kind of talked about it because because you have,
Yeah.
but I haven't. And so what we realized this morning is that because all the guys I've dated are so completely different. Like I've dated guys that are like one of them, you know who, was a very anxious attachment style. The one that was a wild relationship. I'm not talking about that we should not speak of. And very anxious, but then I was like very in love. It was such a good relationship and I had so much fun. But then, you know, I got very hurt by that relationship and now I'm like, okay, then I went to a very secure relationship where I felt more secure and I knew where we stood and all the time and it was very like stable. So I've literally like changed every time, but what we kind of realized was that the reason why I think is because I was actually heartbroken after the breakups. And so when you're that hurt, you do go to be like, okay, what could I do to not be in this situation again? Rather than for her, because she's an avoidant, she never really allows herself to get into the relationship at the level that we do.
Yeah.
So she kind of keeps going and getting the same
keep
type
getting
of
the
person
same
because she's
one,
not really learning the
learning it.
hurt.
Yeah, because I feel
not
like I've
learning the lesson.
I feel like I've like gone through so many almost different styles because I'm like changing
Yeah.
and kind of like trying to grow. Like I feel like it was more toxic before, and then Royce kind of changed that trajectory. And honestly, so pure-hearted. It made me realize so much that I needed to work on, like healed so much of me, made me really look at myself in the mirror and be like, dude, like you have some shit you need to fucking work on, buddy. And then I just feel like Joshua is like, so like we're almost the same person. Like we have the same, he's such a huge heart, so deep, so loving, so loyal, but we both kind of almost deal with the same traumas, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like that relationship is so, it's like looking at yourself and having a person that like you love and care for so much that like you can so much relate to that it's insane. You know what I mean?
They say like people come into your life to help you up level in this reality. So it's like they even say like, so like if a guy that attracts to you, if you notice that there's something that he triggers, like if he's triggering an emotion, any kind of negative emotion, it means that's a wound that you need to heal. So even like any relationship that comes into your life, good or bad, they're usually to help you grow. So like if he's mirroring something to you, like he's mirroring like a lot of the same things, like you feel like you're the same person. Sometimes if there's anything negative that happens in the relationship, then you know like, oh, this is something in me I need to work on.
Yeah, like, but there's so many situations that would happen where like he would do something and I would say, hey, this is like happening. And I had to explain to him, like, no, you don't get it. Like, I've done the same shit.
I'm talking from experience.
Like, I trust me, I get it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've literally had the same.
Because you're helping him grow now.
Because sometimes you have, you know, if you're in a relationship, it doesn't mean that you're this person, but sometimes something will happen and it will trigger you for some unknown random reason.
Yeah, and you're like,
and you'll
why
kind
is
of be
why am I
like,
getting so
boom.
emotional?
And then you're like, wait a second, I just kind of lashed out. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. You know what I mean?
Usually so good.
I'm usually
And that's
so
always like a
good.
big sign to know that it's a childhood trauma. Like if you're weirdly getting affected about something that you know logically shouldn't upset you that much, you're like, that's something I need to fix.
I love how I like name names. No, like you could keep this in with me saying like, yeah, I feel like I'm so real that it's hard for me not to say direct names. Like, because this is how we really talk. So it's like, but I guess from now on I won't. But
No, you can if you
but
want.
I love those
just
two
didn't know
individuals.
if you wanted to. Okay, here we are.
Anyways,
Back on.
very
What's
real
another-
tea, genuine tea. Like nobody, you know,
Yeah.
things that no one would really even know.
I want
Pivot
her to
to-
kind of go into like just how powerful women are and the fact that we're a portal to this world.
The old portal.
The old portal we've
The old
talked
portal
about.
to this world. So going into the like deeper side of the things we talk about, because we're very spiritual. But one day I had this thought, and I was like, women are a portal, and I just feel like think about what a portal is. It's basically, you know, a hole where something comes from nothing and then is somewhere. Like it comes from nothing into something. And that's what we are. It's just crazy to me that our body can make a human.
We are a portal to this
Like
universe.
they don't exist right now. But one day there's going to be a kid in there and it's going to just start growing. And then it's going to be this person. It's going to have a soul and a whole life ahead of them and dreams and thoughts and just so
They're gonna
much.
break
And-
someone's heart.
And we're just going to be like, hey, buddy, it's just going to be here. Like,
Yeah,
that's
it is
crazy.
crazy. When you said that, I was like, I never really thought about that. Women are a portal to this universe.
Think about the power that is and then the power that we hold. And that's why women are so beautiful. Obviously, men are as well. And men have such a special role and are very special. But, you know, being a woman is something to be so proud of. And it's such an honor, really.
Yeah, we birth life.
I mean, crazy, right?
Yeah, it was pretty cool when you told me that. I was like, that's so interesting.
Gonna mention it's kind of cool like talking about portals. Like it's important to like work on yourself as like a guy and or girl, because like you're saying, a portal, they're gonna get all the best and worst parts of you when you like bring life into the world. So it's like if you're not working on yourself, they gotta kind of
That's such a good thought that I've definitely
about
had.
the portal.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because I feel like everything in my journey of just really working on myself is not only for me and because I love myself enough to know that I deserve to live life at the highest level, but it's really for my future family and my future children. Because I feel like, you know, my parents had me so young, and thank God they did, because imagine how scary that was. I mean, you know, they were together since they were 12 years old and then got pregnant at 17. Wow. My mom had me at 18. I mean, you're a actual child.
Yeah.
They were actual children
having
a child. And
children having a child.
So it's like, thank God, you know, they had me, and thank God she was brave enough to have me. I'm so grateful for that. But, you know, it was not easy. Having a child so young is definitely a sacrifice. And it, you know, both of my parents sacrificed so much for me. And, you know, it was definitely not perfect, but, you know, having a child that young is 100% a sacrifice. And I feel like they had to work even harder to put that time into themselves, because it's like when you have a child, you don't have as much time to put into yourself. You have to put the time into them. So it's gonna, if you're not ready mentally, you know, unfortunately, sometimes those things are gonna pass on to your child, you know? So I feel like that's why I've done so much work on myself. It's almost like an honor of them and an honor of their sacrifice for me. I just feel like it's my duty to them to kind of just take this life by the balls and just live it. And that way, when I have children, you know, I'm healed and I'm ready to give them love. And I already put that time into myself and put that love into myself, so I can teach them how to put that love into themselves.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Because I feel like I'm in a phase now where I'm like, even when I'm dating guys, I'm not just looking for me anymore. Like, there used to be a time where I was like very selfish, and I was like, oh, do I like them? It's okay if they're like, they have red flags or whatever. Like, I just did it because it was fun. But now I'm almost like, are you going to be like a good partner? Are you going to be a good dad? Like, are we going to work well together?
Yeah.
I definitely see it differently now.
We were talking about that earlier. You wanted me to mention my relationship with my dad.
Oh, yes, please.
I feel like that's so rare. Maybe not rare. Well, because there's like, you know, billions of people in the world. So I'm sure there's other people that have a
sure?
incredible relationship with their dad. But yeah, I mean, dude, I don't even know where to start. I just feel like my dad, you know, having me as a child, and then so I'm 26 and he's 45, which is just crazy. Where our birthdays, I'm July 20th, he's July 23rd. He's pretty much the male version of me, except I always say he's a little more of like I'm a realist as well, but sprinkle a little bit of like faith and like fairy dust and like glass half full energy. We're the same, but then he's a little more pessimistic about things sometimes. But he always was the one, like my rock, the solid point in my life, a person that was always consistent, never wavering, always the same, always healthy. Anytime I was with him, always felt safe. Never a single thing I couldn't talk to him about. Ever. Like, I know there's so many things that I'm like, me and my dad, and you're like, you talk to your dad about that? And I can talk to my mom as well. I can talk to my mom as well. But just my relationship with my dad is so close. We're best friends. And, you know, something like he would always tell me when I was a teenager is like, I would always get so aggravated with him because he would be so real with me, and I'd be like, Dad, you're like a robot. And he'd be like, dude, you gotta just learn yourself. And it's so funny because you just zoom out, and it's like zooming forward. There's so many conversations that we have now, and he's like, see, remember whenever you were like, and I was like, dude, yeah, I just didn't know shit, dude. I didn't know shit. But just the way he looks out for me, and the way I think that also contributed so much to my self-love, because he was always the person of reason in my life to tell me my value and to tell me, take out all the bullshit and tell me what real life is and what's real.
Which you need with an anxious attachment.
Yeah.
Too,
And it's so hard, because my dad would tell me when I was younger, because you go into life, especially being like us, thinking everybody's amazing and it's sunshine and rainbows and love is so fun and we're all going to just frolic together. And it's like, my dad was like, Abby, nobody cares about you the way that your family does. There's gonna be people.
Yeah.
But he's like, the world is an ugly place. It's a dangerous place. People are fucking crazy, dude. They're nuts. Like,
They
there's
don't
people
always
that
have
are
the
eating
best
people.
intentions.
Like, that's my dad. So he's like, I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I'm just saying you have to realize to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And so I heard him, but then definitely through life, the experiences that I've had and I've learned myself, but to have him to kind of like reference to and to be there for me has been such a blessing. And then him having children, you know, my first sister was born when I was like 14, and then the other one when I was 18. So my sister was born at the same age I was. Like, I was the same age that my parents were when they had me.
Wow.
When she was born.
Yeah, so you got to like see firsthand what that would be like.
Right. And so it's so cool because our dynamic is so crazy that now, you know, one of them is 13, so she's a new teenager, which Tara and Natasha also have 2 younger sisters, almost the same age as mine, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
So she's 13, the other one's 9. And, you know, situations will happen and I'll be talking to him and my stepmom and we'll be like, oh, you know, how do we handle this or what? And they'll ask me like, what do you think? And I'm like, you care what I think?
I'm an
Like,
adult.
that's so crazy. Yeah, I am an adult. That's
It's
crazy.
weird to think when you're talking to your parents, you're like, I am a full-grown adult.
But I think that's the main thing with me and my dad. That's it in a nutshell. He's always had respect for me.
Yeah.
Always had respect
that's
for me as a person. Because I feel like so much with parents, sometimes they almost like look down to you in a way. They're kind of just like, well, I'm the parent and you're the child. And this is what I say. And like, I just know. He was obviously always a mentor to me and always someone guiding me. And if I got out of line, you know, he'd put me in line. But I rarely got out of line with my dad, honestly, because he always respected me so much as a person. Even when I was a child. Even when I was a child, he would care about what I had to say. He would care about what I thought about something. Not just because I was a child, oh, it doesn't matter. He always showed me that basic human respect. And so I feel like, I know. And I feel like that's so important in parenting. And I feel like that's really, if I could sum up our relationship, that's really what it is and why it's so special. Is because,
He was respecting your journey too, which is so cute.
dude, my dad has literally supported me in life no matter what. I can talk to him about anything. And I think that's definitely something I've learned about parenting is that you have to, at the end of the day when you're having a child, it's not, oh, I'm having this thing and it's gonna love me and I'm gonna make it look cute and I'm gonna, you know, tell it what to do and I'm gonna blah blah. It's like, this is a human being. They have their own life. They have their own right to figure out life.
Yeah, and what they want to do.
I truly feel like me and my dad have been together for so many past lives. Who knows in what roles and what aspect, but like he's my dad, but our bond and our friendship is like, it's so much deeper than that. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for it. I love the guy.
Yeah.
He's so awesome.
That's so
Natasha got to meet him.
Yeah, I love
and
him.
spend time
He's hilarious.
with me in Louisiana. Tara hasn't been yet.
Yeah, no, I love.
She doesn't
it.
fly like
heard
too much.
I've heard you and your dad talking on the phone. I'm like, he's the coolest guy ever. We were born very differently. Our dad is very strict. Persian. So like but that is a huge piece of why I am who I am. Like I constantly he had so much like rules over us of like, you know, talking to boys and like all these things like don't do that, like it's what we wore, we had to dress a certain way and all these things. But it's interesting because now I'm like so much raised by that, like I'm like so much like you need to respect me for the guy. I'm like, you gotta respect me, my number one thing. If you don't respect me, goodbye. Like so he's made me be like very traditional in that sense of like a woman needs to be like this. But then at times I've seen that it's held me back because, you know, nowadays it's like, okay, you can be a little more like fun and go with the flow and when it comes to like relationships. So I've seen that a lot be hold me back because not as many things we feel as comfortable with because
Yeah.
our dad was so strict.
Yeah. Like
Whereas
our
your dad is close with you, so you gotta like learn with him on things.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. Some they say you like end up dating people that like your dad too, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But
depending on whatever you need to work on.
Depending,
Yeah.
because I feel like y'all are also a super big thing for y'all in a relationship is someone being very open-minded. And I feel like that's just because of something that you learned about yourselves and you realize that you want.
My dad was very close-minded,
Right.
so that's why
So I
it's a
feel like that's the
huge one
opposite.
for me.
oh yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
why
And
I'm
it's a
so
big one
attracted
for
to
me.
open-minded, because me and my dad would fight all the time because I was like, there was things that I was just trying to tell him about something I'm excited about or like a way of thinking, and he was just like, my opinion is fact. I can't even see what you're saying. And I think because it drove me so crazy, that was like our only thing that we would argue on. It was just him not understanding my way of thinking. So I think that's why I want the complete opposite. I'm like,
That's
I need you
interesting
to
because
like,
I feel like I need you to be very open-minded too. I never really thought about it.
yeah, that was a big one for me.
But he
from
has
dad.
so many amazing
Oh,
qualities
amazing
that
qualities.
Your
I'm not
dad's
saying
so
you're
sweet.
saying
Yeah.
he's
Oh. I was like, I know. No, he's a great dad.
No, I'm not saying you're saying he's not. There's just certain things now that I look at that I'm like, now because of him, I'll never date someone not like that.
Yeah.
Because he has such a good heart. He'll like take the shirt off his back for anyone. Like he's so loving and caring to people. And I'm like, that quality. Now, if I see
Yeah.
that in a guy, like my
That's
ex was
attractive,
like
yeah.
that. And I'm like, when he loves you, it's like, we're ride or die. I'll
Yeah.
take a bullet for
Loyalty.
you type of loyalty, which is
He'll
like,
stick it out even if he's not happy at the bed. Like
Yeah.
dad is like if you're in a relationship like marriage, he's like not one to ever get a divorce. He'd be like, no, I'm not. He would never want
A
to
true
do that.
ride or
yeah,
die.
yeah, he's a
true.
ride or die.
Yeah.
So those are the qualities. It's interesting though, but because your parents are going to show you certain things that you want to carry with you, and certain things you're like, okay, I got to work on this and
It's
not
so
take this.
true. It's so true.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, I feel like so many of my dads, even like, there's certain things that I would do different, obviously, because I'm a different person. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? At the end of the day. But there's so many things about just the way that like they parent and the way that they are with my sisters that it's just like I see and I'm just like, wow. Like that's it, bud.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how you create a safe and loving and environment for your child. Like it's just like a balance of like letting them be themselves while also guiding them, but trying to not make them feel shameful
That was
about
what
things
our
that are
mom did
natural.
for us, which
Yeah.
is funny. You had your dad, but we had our mom. My mom is like non-judgmental at all. Like
Yeah.
and that's what made me feel so safe as a kid to tell her about anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even do anything crazy or wild or like get into trouble because I was always like I could ask her about it first. And I was
We
like,
did
I
get
love
into
that.
trouble and do
of
some
course we
wild
got
shit.
Yeah.
into
I'm
trouble,
just
but I'm
saying,
just
just to be
saying
clear.
like
But
I
she
never
would let
did
us
like
talk to her
hard
about it.
drugs or like I never had like any like I had friends that did like some wild.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I didn't.
It's more so
need,
that like when you have a parent that you can talk to openly, then when you're doing things and making decisions,
Yeah.
they can be like, okay, go ahead, but just giving you a heads up,
This
this,
is what
and
will
this,
happen.
rather than if you don't have someone to talk to, then you rebel more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I loved that. I'm definitely parenting that way.
Yes,
I
for
want
sure.
open communication. That's why people are always like, should you be friends with your kids? I was like, yeah, you should be friends with
Best
your kids.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like, what do you
as
mean?
long as you have that
The bound-
safe level of
yeah,
respect,
Of course.
where it's like you have the respect, you make sure that, you demand the respect as a parent at the end
yeah.
of the day.
Yeah, you're not like
But-
too friendly.
But the way you get that is by giving respect
Yeah.
to the child.
That's
And that's
true.
what so many people didn't understand.
Yeah.
At least whenever we were growing up,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's still like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But you just because they're your kid doesn't mean that you don't respect them or they don't deserve respect because they're a young person.
or whatever their
That
opinions
doesn't
don't
make any
matter 'cause
sense.
they're little.
Like,
It's like-
yeah,
Yeah.
that's so you want to raise them to feel like their opinions don't matter? Oh, that's a great idea. They're really gonna have a lot of self-respect. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna pass the mic to Garrett. Garrett is married. Has been married for how long?
I've been married just about 5 years, but I've been with my wife since high school, and I have been with her now over 17 years since high
That's
school.
crazy, which is so cool.
Love.
But you don't hear about that much anymore in LA. So that's why I'm like, you're such a different opposite from
Yeah,
us.
it's kind of rare to like hear of high school sweethearts in LA, just like at all.
Exactly.
Because there's so many transplants.
Yeah. So, but is there anything that you thought of when you're hearing us that would be interesting for you to like talk on with dating?
From a dating perspective, I've been so far out of the game that it's like it's a total different realm now with dating
Yes.
apps and just, you know, the amount of like availability that people have out of when you're out of high school or college, your pool is so much larger. You know,
Yes.
like you're in a dating pool in high school and college, and then once you got in the real world, you take all the lessons that you had from all those relationships when you were younger. Like you were saying, when somebody is young, the smallest act seems like super romantic. When I was with my
So true.
wife, obviously girlfriend at the time in high school, other guys were taking her to like Carl's Jr. at lunch and things like that, douchebags. And then like I just like decide I'm gonna take her to Olive Garden, or I'm gonna take her to like somewhere just like a little bit more sit down.
Like, I'm gonna level
just
up.
like level up just so
The teeniest.
incrementally, but then it was like made such a big impression on her, and she's like, oh, Garrett's romantic, you know, but like that level of effort now like in a marriage is so
different.
baseline. Yeah, it's like you're looking for different qualities in like romance when you get into a more evolved relationship. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I have maybe advice for like keeping
What's your advice for keeping it alive?
Yeah.
Keeping it alive, I feel like, is being vulnerable and communicating. You know, continuously telling your partner the things that you want out of life as things go, you know, years go by. You know, no one's ever the same, stays the same. You know, I've evolved in either my career, things that I'm passionate about, different activities, and she's always supportive. You know, like right now I'm super into golf. You know, so it's like she's like, do whatever you want as long as you're present and like things around the house are taken care of and, you know, bills are paid. But it's just it's just kind of you have different things that you look for, like when you're, you know, in a very secure relationship. At that point, I'm not like looking around and finding and trying to just keep discovering myself. It's like you're always like working together as a team, you know?
Yeah, and there's something I just thought about that I think is really interesting for us to touch on based off his life and then our lives. And what's weird is one of our girlfriends, Naz, she was telling me like, you haven't watched Sex in the City? Oh my God, you have to watch it. It helped me through my breakup. So I just started watching it. And by the way, I've never seen it before. It's such an easy show to watch. I don't know
Oh,
if
so
you've
you're talking
seen
about
it.
I've only seen the movie.
My
Oh,
wife
okay,
was
I've seen
watching
the
it
show.
yesterday.
Oh,
She was
really?
watching. She rewatches Sex in the City probably like every few months.
Yeah.
she'll binge watch.
I'm gonna
like,
have
the
to watch
entire
the
thing.
show now, but I don't
It's-
get why there's a
well,
movie and a show. I don't
I'll
understand.
tell you the thought I'm having. So on the show, they're like in their 30s, they're like 30, you know, I think 32, 35, and like all these different ages. And there's like probably older men that they're dating too. But one of the thoughts that has been coming up for me recently, and then when I hear his relationship since high school, and we've heard these things where it's like the more you date, the more people that you're going on dates with, the more they picky you get. And they talk about that in the show of like, oh well, now when you're in your 30s, your checklist is getting more and more and more because you get smarter and smarter.
Yeah.
And so you're experiencing so many things. So then it's like it's almost like I don't know what's right anymore. Like because I used to all throughout my age, you guys, I mean, you've seen. I've always been the one that's like promoting to like all my friend group, like go after your dreams, don't settle down young. Like I just never wanted a like normal life. I was like just wanting to live like I just don't want a stereotypical like I got married at this age and had a
You just don't want to settle.
It's not that it's settling because I think that's beautiful for people.
No,
It's
not
more
in a bad,
so
not in a good way. I think you just don't. You're not willing to compromise anything that isn't right just to settle. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's more so that like I know when I pictured my future, I wanted it to be very obscured from what the standard life looked like. Like there's since a kid,
Stereotypical, like-
stereotypical life. It's because
Find
I know,
someone,
if anything,
get
I'm like
married.
now that I'm older, I'm like that sounds beautiful that
Yeah.
they were able
Yeah.
to find that. But because I grew up being like, I need to live this different life. I did everything different than everyone else. Dropped out of high school, started my own business. Like I had to do everything differently. Just I don't know why. But so now that I'm like older, I'm looking back and I'm like, oh shoot, I've been promoting this the whole time. But is that even the right thing? Because then do you ever really find someone and like commit to it? And so my last relationship really showed me like he looked at love so much differently. And at first I was like, that's weird. And it didn't resonate with me for like a year or so dating him. And he'd constantly say like, no, love is you're there for you no matter what happens. Like, if I don't care what you did, I'm showing up for you, even if like something you did crazy to, like, you know, at the end of the day, I love you, I'm gonna pick you up, we'll talk about it later, right? And like, he's like, love is worked on constantly, like even through the bad, like even when you're feeling like, you know, you're falling out of it, you work on it again. It's showing up for the person. That's like what love is.
Partnership.
And so, and then he's always said, like, every single love he's had, he's worked on it to grow it into love. It's never been like, oh my God, I feel something, I love
Lust,
you.
yeah.
And I was like, what? That's so weird, because I've only ever prior to that dated people where I was like, loved you right away. Whereas I didn't feel that magical spark right away. And that was normal for him because he always developed love. So I was like, it's so interesting.
And that's what really keeps it alive.
I
That's like
know.
so important.
Because you're truly
really.
growing and bonding.
I
I've
know.
definitely had that thought too of like, because when I was younger, I thought I'd be married with kids by now.
Yeah.
For sure. I thought I'd be married with kids.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But like then as I've got, it was really like being in toxic, not all of them obviously, like I've discussed, but younger, like being in like really bad relationships, and thank God having the like courage of like ripping the Band-Aid off and being like, I'm not repeating this cycle. I'm not allowing my life to be like this.
Exactly.
But then you get a little older, and at the same time you're like, okay, well, this person's like actually amazing. Like, do I keep working on this, or do I?
Exactly.
It's kind of like you're in that weird place of like,
So I don't even.
Is this the one?
I don't have the answers anymore, because like society is pushing, like I did for so long, to go after your dreams and not settle down so early and all these things. But then when you realize like the whole reason we're here in life is to find someone you love, and connection is like the most, word can die without connection. And so then when you see someone like Garrett that has,
He's just
you know,
lucky.
that has that relationship for so long and works on it that way, it's
Yeah.
kind of like beautiful.
It's continuous work because like everyone says, like the first year of marriage is like the toughest, and people like don't know why until they go through it.
Yeah.
I was with my wife Ashley for, you know, like 10 years before I proposed to her, and then the year, and we had been living together for probably 7 years like prior to that.
Wow.
So then our first year of marriage, everyone's like, oh, it's going to be tough. And we're like, well, we've been living together. We've been basically married this entire time, just like, you know, just not like legally in the eyes of like the government. Why on earth could it be like so hard? But you're learning that first year that like, you're like, wait, I'm committing my entire life to this person. Everything that I thought was maybe like, I'll let it slide. Maybe I won't like talk about this. Maybe I won't discuss like whatever the toothbrush that's left on this. Like, you don't talk about it until that first year of marriage. We're like, oh, I'm gonna have to live through this the rest of my life. Well, now I'm gonna like say something, because if I let it go on for too long, then it's gonna drive me crazy.
Yeah.
So that first year is you just basically getting out like all of the things that you're like, okay, I don't think I can let this go for my entire life.
you're like,
That's so cool to think about.
Yeah, so you're
Never
constantly
thought about
working.
that.
You can feel like you know somebody like the back of your hand. You know, you look
Yeah.
at them every day and you're like, I know everything about this person. But then, you know, you're kind of like making that decision that first year. So it's in any relationship, when you take anything to the next level, it's going to get hard before it gets better, because you're conjoining your life with somebody, and then you have to learn how to like be vulnerable and communicate constantly, almost to like a kindergarten level. You have to like lay things
Really
out
understand.
super easily. You'd be like, hey, like, you know, this is how I feel, blah, blah, blah. You really communicate to the point where like, then it becomes almost telepathic, where it's like, you don't have to be as verbal about how you feel about certain things, because you see it on their face. You know, you get the vibe of like, you know, how it feels in a room or how tense it might be. And then you
Yeah.
want to like just get all those emotions out of the way by discussing it and communicating before things start to like, you
Escalate.
know, escalate. Yeah,
That's so
exactly.
cool. That's a really cool thing to think about.
I
never
do
thought about
feel
that.
like, Tara, though, I feel like I truly believe the one you'll just know, because you won't ever want to give up. You won't ever
Yeah.
want to walk away. You know that at the end of the day, okay, like you might walk away for a little bit. You might be like, okay, I need some time. I need to like make sure or like think. But at the end of the day, you will never, if they're the one, you'll never let them go.
That's
I
true.
truly believe that. And I feel like exactly what he was saying, the last person you were dating, about like that amazing quality of I will always show up for you. That is love, because when it's the one, no matter what you've been through or what you go through, obviously you have your own boundaries. Like if someone like you're married and someone cheats on you, I mean, I get it. Like, you might not be able to work through that, and that's okay. But really, for the most part, like, there's nothing that I will not work through with you in this journey we call life. You know? Like, I am okay in myself, you're okay in yourself, but I genuinely choose you forever. You will know.
Something I heard interesting, just to like fight that, which is cool. Danny Morell was talking about, like, he's like almost hated that they made it where our society thinks there's only one, because you go through different evolutions of, like, depending on what you need to work on in yourself. Maybe like the reason I didn't find my husband now is because Natasha had to develop certain things in herself to even get to that point of where, like, I'm ready for a relationship, because that's now I'm going to up level in a different way, because relationships bring out other parts of you that you need to heal. So, like, maybe Garrett was ready at that time because that's how he would up level. So, like, not putting pressure on yourself that, like, if you haven't found, like, your partner yet, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. You're just not in that phase of your life.
Yeah, that's a good
Right.
point to mention for people that are watching and be like, well, damn. Yeah, it's so true.
Because
Sometimes I'm even hard on myself recently. I'm like, all right, I'm getting older, Tara. Like, and then it's like funny that I attracted even watching Sex and the City, because the whole show, and I'm like, I should probably stop watching this. And then that's me being like my empath self, because I'm like, I don't want to take on these beliefs. But they're like so hard to find a guy once, you know, like nowadays, like all the 20-year-olds are like this, you know, partying and don't want anything serious, and they're fun, but then you can't have a real relationship with them. And it's like, and then the guys in their 30s, if they're 30 and they're single, then that's a problem, you know. Then I'm like,
Bad
oh gosh, this is all like so.
But that's like stereotypical. So fighting that, knowing like you could have found someone that was the one when you were 20 and you got married for a short bit of time, but then like you got divorced for a bit, and then in the future you find someone amazing in your 40s or 50s, like, and they were perfect for you at that point of your life. So like to think that we only have one, I think is like a bad societal thing.
I think what I realized even from Lori Harder, another speaker, was what she said. She came on my podcast. She's like, it's a marriage will last as long as the partner and you will develop and grow together. Because it's like,
you could
like
outgrow
you said,
a partner
like
if they're not willing to work.
If the partner isn't, if you're evolving and the partner isn't willing to evolve with you, that's when a marriage can, like, you know. But like how you're saying, like, she lets you do what you want. You guys are able to communicate. You guys are evolving together through the changes of your lives.
Yeah,
if the other person's not willing.
You also grow a ton more respect for the person, and like you feel like you don't have as much. You feel like you start opening up even more space in your heart for somebody when they're vulnerable and telling you, you know, things that they want to work on versus you. You know, a lot of times in relationships or marriages that end, it's one person that's, you know, wants things to change, and the other person is like, almost, it's like talking to a brick wall. They're not accepting of being like, I hear what you say, but, and then I'm also gonna like bring my like opinions to the table, and then what action plans do we have that go forward? And once you go through that process with somebody, like going through a rough part in your relationship, talking it out, and actually having that person also come back with the same amount of like communication, respect, you go out of it being like, wow, I love that person even more, even though that was fucking hard. Like I love them more for it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I think it's really down to who we choose, and if we choose them and they choose us. And I think for me, I know also that once I get married, that is it. I'm not, like, obviously that person could wake up in 10 years and be a totally different person. Then I'm like, well, shit, I guess I have to leave you. But like, I think that's why, you know, we've also waited and really are taking this serious, is because I don't want to do it again. I don't want to get separated later. I don't want to do that.
We've seen that with our parents.
And I will not give up. I will not. So I need to find the person that also won't give up. And, you know, maybe I've already found that person. But maybe I haven't. And I just feel like once I make that decision, I think that's why it's so important to me, is because I don't want to ever make that choice again. And I want to rock it out for life. I want to just ride it out, you know, like anything. Because I'm so that person. And I feel like, if you find that person that chooses you in that way, it's a wrap. Run it up. Because you're going to change. You're going to, like we said, and I think the willingness to change and grow with you, and know that you're not dealing with a brick wall at the end of the day. Like, oh yeah, you're not this stubborn person that can't see me and see what I need or see what I'm saying.
I think it's okay to find people later in life, because then you're just more equipped at that time. You know, it's not really about a timing or like, you know, I wanted the white picket fence when I was younger. I'm sad that didn't happen or whatever. Thinking those thoughts of like, if I could have done it a different way or doing a different path, it's just, you know, it's just everyone has their own path and they're going to find their person. It's like you said, if somebody can match you at your level in the relationship, that's what keeps things going longer.
Because I hate those pressures that society puts on you, that like, if you don't have your person by this age and this time, and like,
I hate
then
societal
there's something
pressures.
wrong with you, or like.
And I feel like that's why people rush into things or settle with things.
Yeah, I'm getting stuck in the matrix right now because I never was someone that cared about societal
You never
pressures.
did.
I'm always the person that hates stereotypes and all that shit. And more recently, I think it's because like the age thing, once you get older, you then take on, you're like, okay, well, I am getting older. And that's why I hate age. I really hate age. It's just like,
just
what
keeps
a
confirming to you,
label
like,
and
what
what
you need to-
a like chains. Like you are literally tying yourself to like someone societal beliefs beyond your own feelings inward. Like, what does your deep down heart feel about where you are in your life? It's like, if age wasn't a factor, just take the moment to allow yourself to remove that label. If that wasn't a thing, and the time wasn't a thing, that we're like, okay, it's been 1 year, now I'm 28 and I'm 29, and if you're not watching that thing and you remove all these chains that we have and you just sit here for a moment, are you happy? Do you feel healthy? Do you feel good about your life? Do you feel like excited about
ready?
love? Are you ready to be in a serious committed relationship?
For life.
For life? Like, these are things that if you didn't have age, you wouldn't feel so forced and pressured to figure it out. It's like, ugh.
Especially as a woman.
Grosses me out.
Especially as a woman.
Especially as a woman.
If you want children, that's definitely like a pressure and like a
And
feeling.
it's just not fair.
Yeah. So I think it's just about how like you were used to being, and how me and Natasha are always talking. It's just like, you just have to have peace and just the self-love and trust in the universe and trust in yourself and trust in life that everything will work out in due time. Everything will be fine. We will run off into the sunset and it will be beautiful.
Yeah.
And it will happen. And I think it's just the reason we feel that way is because at our age and our age range, people are either like us, still just living, working on ourselves and finding that best path, and we haven't rushed or jumped into anything, or someone's found their person and they're having a family and they're doing these things. So I think that's why it's natural to think that way at our age, is because
And don't you feel like social media makes it worse, the stress?
For sure,
like,
yeah.
We're seeing so many people, it feels like people are having babies every day or getting married every day. I'm like, this is,
and you're like,
it's not
wait,
normal
this
to
is
see
so
that many people's
beautiful.
lives.
Oh, dude, I have a tab on TikTok. I have a folder that says wedding, and I have about 385 videos in there.
Jesus.
Because of just cute things I see, and I'm like, oh, one day that'd be so cute. Save. Like on Instagram, I have so many things saved. I feel like that's just like a girl thing, though, because like that will happen one day, and it's only gonna happen once.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be cute, but yeah, definitely. And
Oh,
like,
for sure.
cute
It makes you
babies
like
and stuff.
it-
You're just like,
I think it also like keeps on making you compare yourself to other people's lives. You're like, oh, they're at that stage. What did they do differently, or why did they have that now, or should I be questioning where I'm at in life? So I just feel like that's why a lot of the reason I don't scroll on a lot of. I always just look at my own messages, and like, because I'm like, sometimes I don't want to take on unnecessary stressors. Because if you notice that the app is giving you anxiety, it's probably like making you, it's not a good thing then.
yeah, I noticed that TikTok was giving me anxiety, so I stopped going on it a lot. But I also think I changed my For You page because now it's just all funny stuff and like some sweet stuff in there.
That's why I'm very picky with what I watch too. Like how you said Sex in the City. I did notice when I would watch girl shows that were talking like they're dating and like all the shitty guys that they dated, or like all
it's
the
like when you attract
complications
that.
and how hard it was. I started noticing that my life was being affected by what I was watching. I started noticing guys were being not as nice on certain things or whatever, because you don't realize you're programming beliefs with what you're watching and what you're scrolling on. So that's why I got picky with what I put in his brain.
We did something different this time, bringing on my family. And if you like these kind of conversations, let us know and we'll do more of them. I think this was so fun. I feel like we have so much more to cover, but that's good because we can have more episodes. Thank you so much, guys. Oh, yeah, tell them where to find you guys.
I'm like in the middle of having a sneeze, but I don't think it's gonna come.
Tell them where to find you guys on social.
You could find me at Tash 9 p.m. on social.
9 p.m. I'm Abby Rayo at ABBYRAO.
And we'll see you next Tuesday.